Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer1745, and I should be looking at the USA because we are playing the USA as part of Hearts of Iron 3's Black Ice. And it is now November 1937, so we're not moving as fast as we should. We're going to invest in our industry, I think. So let's do invest in industry, 10,000 money. Okay, oh, that'll help get rid of our. There we go. Okay. Industry. Okay, we're getting into ships again. Okay, export of copper. Bolivia, nothing. That was an easy choice. Pittsburgh. Okay, well, they could have both. West Virginia. Yeah, Charleston, West Virginia. Give them a factory. Okay, let's. Did I hit somehow? I didn't want Pittsburgh. I didn't want steel. Why did I hit those wrong? Okay, those are going. Did I just misread that? Pittsburgh. Oh, I did read those wrong. I read that as industry and heavy industry. Well, we'll just do an industry. Okay, and let's see where else then. We're not going to have that heavy industry. Well, we can do it up here. And we can increase our firearms productions. Okay. And we want to make sure all of the ones that are partially completed, read those out first. Finland. Yes, you can have crude oil, Finland. Okay, Cuba. Yes, you can have metal. Copper, Mexico. Okay. Artillery, first batch of artillery deployed to. Okay, cool. Okay, we're down to copper level. That, yeah. Metal, yes, sure. Okay. Twin engine airframe research advance. Okay. That is there. Okay, we got that. Let's come back down to carriers. And we are pushing ahead. Let's see. Torpedo protection. Keep from being sunk by torpedoes. Okay, fighter bomber prototype, which should be no, but we'll stop that. Okay, I don't want to push on that just yet. Let's come bulkhead layout and torpedo boat class. Check that out. Okay, that's 36. We'll let that continue. More gold, yay. No, not to Japan. Not that much of an industry. Also, yeah, rare materials, yes, but not that much. Cast pilot training. Medium fuel tank. Okay, grayed out. We got all these, but let's get some of these training up now. Okay, another actual event. Okay, a 13-month strike called by the American Federation of Hosiery Workers to unionize the Berkey, I guess, as it was known, led to strife resulting in the death of worker M. Earl Schisnagel, injuries to dozens more, and destruction of plant and workers' property. But the plant never unionized. Well, if you destruction of the plant, how are you going to unionize a plant that gets destruction of the plant? I mean, if the plant is actually destroyed, so it's the uprising bit that I disagree with. It's not that there was a strike and yeah. Okay, destroyer crew training and cruiser damage control. Okay. I don't know. I don't know that we're going to do this because see, it'll make the battleships and coastal battleships and super heavy battleships and battle cruisers, pocket battleships and heavy cruisers less visible, so meaning harder for them to detect on their own, and better for convoy attacking. But positioning, as in when they come to fleet battles, worse. So we're not going to do this. We're going to stay away from this because I'm going to use submarines for that. And we could even put capital ships as raiders, but without the bonuses. But the capital ships, we're going to try to control the sea, not raid the sea with them. So we're going to avoid using that. Okay, CAG. Carrier air training and cruiser damage control. Let's check out cruiser damage control. Yeah, we can let that go. Guatemala, fine. Okay. Who? Venezuela, no. Yeah, they have metal. No, no. Okay, zinc. Okay, China, you can have zinc. I didn't even look for it. China is in a war, and if zinc's going to help you out, go for it. I don't know how much it's going to help though. This stage. Okay, so let's see how do we interpret this here? Okay, no, this is how we interpret this. Okay, I guess this is how we're interpreting it. So we're going from economic focus stage 2/3. So that I guess we're getting slower armor build speeds. Okay, I'm not entirely understanding that, but I guess he was going from stage 2 of 3 to stage 3 of 3. But over here, we are getting from 2 to 3, we're getting less manpower, but much more ICs, supplies, and efficiency, land build speed down. So this I understand is getting better. I don't understand why the other is getting worse, but all right. Okay, merchant marine subsidiaries. Okay, 15,000 monies. We get that USA ships is now. Is that one I need to move to the top again? Yes. Okay, so escorts and convoys. Very good. Italy launches a battleship. Australia wants some S-class submarines. Okay. Oh, right. It's after the first of the year. Yes. Okay. Espionage focus. We're going to continue doing political spying, which would be unconstitutional in America. But hey, we're the Democrats, so it doesn't matter. No one will do anything to us because we're the Democrats. 200 supplies. Cool. It's fuel stockpile. Maybe this is what we should have done. Well, okay, so we're getting a lot of fuel from the Philippines. Fine. Okay. We have plenty of fuel, but whatever. And we want to do long term. I think. I know I didn't check, but I think we want to do long term. Yeah, we want to do. I'm pretty sure we don't want to do mining. Um, so I don't know that we're going to need oil, energy, or metal. We definitely don't need them now. We went with agriculture just to continue to build up our manpower early on and to continue through that. I normally don't do that first off. Expand the mines. No, well, because we have the reduction of 10% on manpower and 15% on ICs. And I hear you, IKB, but we've got max everything except for rare materials, and we're still growing on rare materials. So we don't need, if we ever do need more, we can do it, but we don't need any more oil, fuel, or metal. We just don't need that. So I don't see, why we would need that. Germany normally doesn't need metal or energy, but does need crude. So I do that sometimes with Germany. Okay, railroad tycoon we might do. I don't know if IKB likes railroads or something. Land mines. Strategic resource mines, yeah. Oh, well, if you're talking about these other ones, we can talk about that. The other mining things. But here with these, it's either national highways or see, I see, because now national highways is 1%, 5%, where railways is 2% and 10%. So we might be able to do both, but this didn't really, for America, didn't happen until after the war, the national highways. They had, I think, one highway in California before the war that you would consider a highway. Maybe something back east, but very little. But Railway Tycoon, we're going to go for Railway Tycoon. Okay, Railway Tycoon. That's what we want. Yes, of course. I knew you were going to go yes. So, yes, money, supplies, metal. We have enough of that. Now, if you're talking about investments, mining, okay. We have a fair amount. So let's see, of the aluminum, copper, molybdenum, and zinc. I think we're at 4. Copper, we're at 3. Molybdenum. Probably do that. And aluminum, we're at 3. So yeah, let's do molybdenum. I'm butchering the pronunciation. Molybdenum. Okay, 2,000 money. Let's do that. We'll up our capacity of production of that. And Navy acts for money, sure. Yes, export. No, not to Japan. Panama, okay, Railway Tycoon, yay. Yes, you can have that. And with more resources, let's go with carrier horizontal protection. And what else do we to do? Anything more here? Light AA maybe, but no carrier hangar. We should do carrier hangar. Okay. Germany has got Austria now. So it's now the Grossreich, the Great Reich. Cruiser warfare has advanced. That is over here. Okay, 39. Yes. I'm over here and do some. Right. Okay. Agricultural Adjustment Act of 1938. Okay, Agriculture 1938 was legislation in the United States that was enacted as an alternative and replacement for the farm subsidies policies in previous New Deal farm legislation, Agriculture Adjustment Act of 1933, that had been found unconstitutional. It also responded to the success of the Soil Conservation and Domestic Allotment Act of passed in 1935. The act was the first to make price support mandatory for corn, cotton, wheat, to help maintain sufficient supply in low production periods, along with marketing quotas to keep supply in line with market demand. It establishes permissive support for butter, not better. I should read these. Supports for butter, dates, figs, hops, turpentine, rosin, pecans, prunes, raisins, barley, rye, grain sorghum, wool, winter cover crops, seeds, mohair, peanuts, and tobacco for the 1938 to 1940 period. Interesting that tobacco's in there. Okay. Trains are made of steel that is made of iron that comes from mines, so iron mine equals trains. Okay. What do I want to say about this? We're definitely, because they don't pick cotton by hand anymore, at least not in America. So that's gone. They have machines that pick cotton now. And so during this time period, you're definitely moving from maybe large scale in the South, that would be considered industrial, but how do I want to put this? Move from muscle-powered farming, whether human or animal, to whether it's steam engines or what is really coming by this period very much so, internal combustion engine farming, tractors plowing fields, that kind of thing. More and more harvesting of foods by motorized internal combustion engine powered farming. The problem you have, and the problem for farmers with that more industrialization, is that you can overproduce on food. And so the food prices crash. Well, that can be very damaging to farmers because with the needs to make fairly large investments in things like tractors and other stuff. So it's no longer, a farm with a mule and somebody who's farming it and then tries to get more labor for the harvest or something, short period, high activity labor. If the market falls out on your food, well, okay. I mean, it's not good. I'm not trying to say it's good, but yeah, you're mostly producing enough food so you can eat. You sort of survive the bad times. And also, you normally have a lot more labor working on the farms to produce the food. But with industrialized farming in America, and once we get also along with though a lot of it's now gone overseas, but industrially made fertilizers, which are sort of Germany is pushing ahead on that. Same type of process you use to make explosives too, but hey, that's another thing. So you can produce more food in America than you have people can eat it. And the biggest limitations for food in America is water, quite honestly. There is a problem, because I have family know some of this part, they're pumping out a lot of water from the aquifers in this part of America that there is concern over the next 40 or 50 years, they may drain out some of the aquifers because we're able to pump out so much water. And that could be a locally environmental problem to create another Dust Bowl. And, as they did soil conservation, is the situation with the Dust Bowl, is the idea that you need to conserve the soil and you need to handle it. So for a nation, any nation of any size, you need to have a food supply. Now, the independent, now it wasn't back then, but now the independent nation of Singapore has no capacity to feed itself. It cannot. It cannot grow enough food on a small island for its population size, and it cannot catch enough food from the sea, in its mighty territory here. I mean, theoretically, it could have huge fishing fleets to go somewhere out in the world, and they could eat lots and lots and lots of fish, but it really internally does not have the food supply to support itself. So, but it needs to have food. So, yeah, it would be easy to cut Singapore off and starve it to death as a nation and get it to surrender. So, but even something like that to I don't know if you really want to go imperial, but I was sort of kind of big empire of America, and it's continuing to this day, in which you have let the free market. Well, but you see, okay, but the problem is I get the free market to fix it, but and that's what people will argue. We're probably gonna get the strategic effect here, but I'm also commenting on my thoughts on America and its activities. The problem with the free market is that farmers will look at it and go, "Hey, yeah, well, let's pick something here. Pecans. Let's say their field can grow wheat, it can grow rye, it can grow grain sorghum, and it can grow pecans, let's say it can grow all of those. Pecans got a lot of profit. They were really expensive last year. Let's grow pecans. And so everybody, or not everybody, but a large number, maybe not even a majority, but a large number of farmers in whatever area decide to grow pecans. I don't even know, are they a plant or I'm sort of guessing they're a plant, but maybe they're from a tree. Where prunes are trees, so they take a long time to grow. Prunes, you got to grow a tree. Where raisins are grapes, grapes, you got to sort of get the vines growing to get them. But dates and figs are trees. So some of those take longer to get going. But especially things like peanuts and grains. You can switch between them a lot. And some of them are needed for, could be like cotton needed for clothing or other. Hemp, yeah, I know pot, but hemp for rope. That depending on what you want to grow, you can have people that go pecans. Let's go pecans, and then the market falls out of pecans, falls down, and you get not enough wheat grown, say, to meet the needs of the people. Now, I know in a modern world that we live in today with computers and whatnot, that all of the Kellogg's cornflakes and other, bread manufacturers and other things could all place in orders, and so they can know 5 years out from now how much wheat they want and how much corn they want and how much of this they want, and contract with farmers. You could definitely do it a lot better now with computerized setups than you could before IKB. But because you are talking about sometimes long term in growing a tree or getting you don't raisins are grapes, but you don't get a grapevine growing in a season. You got to grow grape fields. We have them here in California, so I know a bit about them. Good qualities or some of the best quality is going into grapes, as well as wines, and some of the other qualities are turned into raisins, dried grapes. But you get the idea that it takes a while to get these things going. You don't change by season. So to deal with this, and you have to look at, for whatever nation, you have to secure your food source. And like I say, America has enough farmland to feed a hell of a lot more people than are in America. And we have moved to the ability to industrially produce so much of these goods that one of two things will happen, or that can happen depending on the time. One, the market, or people who need to invest and need to be able to function, you have to have the proper farm machinery, and you can't not have that farm machinery and save up to get it. Meaning you can't, I'm just going to work this farm by hand for 20 years, save up and get big farm combine machines and some tractors that pull plows and whatever, get all this machinery, do it by hand and save it up. You have to have the land, whether, yeah, I know if you get in, a lot of farms are being taken up by suburban sprawl out of cities, but trust me, there's still huge amounts of farmland out here. And you know what? Either people don't have children or their children don't want to be farmers, and they move to the city. And so somebody sells that farm. And who's going to buy it? Could be, and this is a negative, monopolies are negative things, duopolies, just two, are negative things. You don't want all of your farms to be owned by 10 farm owning companies, BlackRock or whoever might be. I don't know if they own farms, they probably do. You don't want just 10 agricultural owning companies in America. You want large numbers of individually owned farms, independently owned, but are economically viable in that they can have all of the industrialized equipment to work it. It's no longer people, this is picking cotton, but no longer people out there doing a lot of hand picking. You want to, I know some of the fruits may still need it, but they got more and more machines out there that'll shake the tree, and if they shake the tree at the right time, all of the right fruit falls off of it, but the tree's fine. They may come back by in a few days later and shake it again with a catcher underneath it and get the, more and more mechanization. But you need to, and so somebody's going to hopefully be able to, who wants to be a farmer and not just have it in a few big companies, to be able to go in and, I want to buy that farm,
And so they got to make it. So they're probably going to have a loan to do it. And now a bank who knows, oh well, hey, the farm's profitable. It's just the people who owned it are getting old and are going to, live in an old person's home. They can no longer run it, and they either have had no children or all their children wanted to learn to code and be, game programmers and have left. So none of the family want to continue it. So they're selling the farm. And hopefully, and so it's not being sold because it doesn't work. And so anybody who has, and so somebody goes, hey, I've worked on my father's farm all my life, but my older brother's going to inherit it. I want to buy a farm. Loan me the money to buy that farm over there, and I'll own that farm, and I'll be able to pay it off to you because look, we can look at all the balance sheets on it, and it'll work. And so if you let the market figure it out, some years they're going to go, I can't pay you, bank. Can't pay you because I planted wheat when I should have been planting rye or barley or whatever it is. Or of course you also have, environmental problems, not enough rain, too much rain, tornado comes through, but that can be insuranced, but even that still costs. But let's just say, so what you should try to do, because it is of a national interest to feed your population, okay? You need to be able to feed your population. That there's a national interest. You shouldn't go, well, fuck it. If all the farmers go out of business, no problem. We'll just buy wheat from Russia or China because it's cheaper. Wheat from Russia is cheaper than wheat grown in America anyways, so we'll just buy all our wheat from Russia or wherever. Let's say they get the Sahara going green and it's cheap African wheat from North Africa again. Yeah, like it was in the Roman, Roman Empire period. We'll just import it from Tunisia. No, we have a national self-interest, and this could go for, try to get to Central America here. This could go for El Salvador or Nicaragua or any other country. Go, well, why don't we, let's say, well, instead of growing it in Nicaragua, we'll import cheaper Mexican whatever. Now some things won't grow in Nicaragua that you'll want to import, but it's just something like that there is a national interest. And there's also a national interest to not just have a few megacorps owning 80-90% of farms. So what you need to do is you need to create a predictability. You need to create the idea that we're not going to overproduce on food so that the market value won't plummet out of food, so that you lose your farm. So because you have to be able to, because even if you somehow, I saved up the money, I learned to code and I did a lot of coding, but my dream was to own a farm someday, and so after 10 years of being a successful programmer, I have enough cash to go buy the farm. But all the farming equipment is all that included in the farm is going to be junk in 2 more years. I got to buy new farming equipment just because it's too old. Then we can talk about planned obsolescence and other manufacturing problems. Yeah, fine. But let's just say you're going to need to invest in farming equipment at some stage. And you want to be able to pay it off over 10, 20 years. And the banks need to know that, hey, yeah, so long as, there's programs, so it's going to be a safe investment. I'm going to get my money back. They're going to have insurance on for bad years for bad harvests or whatever, and it's going to be profitable because it's a national security issue. Food is a national security issue for every single nation on the planet. America has the ability to always have enough food if we're planting it right. It's not like because we're big enough that if we have, a storm that destroys all of the food in these 3 states, well, we've got plenty of food from other states to bring it in. It's not, there isn't going to be a storm big enough to kill all the food and have America starve, really. But you can have disruption. Okay, that's one thing. So you need to have it profitable enough. On the other hand, it is also with urbanization of society, it is also a national good to not have, at least culturally, what is a staple food become too expensive, either because of scarcity or because of cost of production. So certain products that either you have actual government, and I don't know what it might be, but let's just say eggs. Let's say the government will give the farmer 10 cents for every egg he produces, as well as whatever he sells it for, because otherwise the egg would be too expensive for the end user. And we make that national thing, meaning making every egg 10 cents cheaper when it gets to the store. So long as they're selling it within a certain price range, whatever. Or it could be, hey, if you're producing eggs, we're going to reduce your tax burden. So you don't have to pay as much taxes, because we want eggs in every household in America to have eggs. And we want, whether they're rich or whether they're poor, we want to do that. And that's a decided national characteristic. This could be something like for China and rice. They want to produce rice in China, partially because of their geography, lots of mountains, so they have lots of small fields, so you can't just get big tractors and run them around. They have a lot of little tractors and little sort of walk behind tractors kind of things to be able to do some of this stuff in it. And because they don't want it to also be again, major corporately owned. They have a lot of small owned. So they've decided to protect Japanese quality and Japanese rice from huge, cheaper imports of rice from other parts of the world. And part of it is also a strategic, so that it's grown in Japan and not just grown in Vietnam. And then, oops, there's a new Khmer Rouge kind of thing that takes over and wants to kill 3/4 of the population and kill everybody who knows how to grow rice, just because if you know how to grow rice, you're an evil person, or something that may happen. Whatever it may be, they want to have a certain amount of internal production within Japan of rice. I know they do. So they have that as a national good. So we might say something like, in America, we want to have eggs affordable for all Americans and have a big enough production, and we want them to be produced in America. So we are going to protect our egg farmers, if you will. And we want that to happen. So I understand your let the free market fix it. I understand TIK's market decisions, but we also have the national good for a predictability in food and predictability in production. So should that be price fixing and price controls everywhere? No. But it should also not be purely let the market solve it. So I don't know enough about, because the earlier one was found unconstitutional, like I was talking about some of the interstate commerce clauses of what the federal government can do. So yeah, some of this is probably overly done too much, but we have to see. We're supposed to be role-playing. Yeah, pumping too much groundwater can cause subsidence as the ground dries up and contract. Yeah, I get you on that, and we definitely see, I know of subsidence in the greater Los Angeles area from pumping too much oil. And the idea of, in certain areas near the harbor areas where they were pumping oil out into the harbor, the fire hydrants were like 3 feet higher in the street or next to the street, because the ground sunk about 3 feet. Yeah, that can happen, but that really isn't. It's sort of actually very deep situation of water here in the West. Hello, Ragar. Pecan is a type of nut. Yeah, but it's some nut. I don't know if there's a tree nut. I don't know. Probably. What about dust storms and destruction of soil? Wouldn't that reduce arable land? Yes. Well, we did have the Great Dust Bowl, Ragar. That is earlier than 38, and it is because of, this is the Great Plains out here. Don't know if we have a good map that shows this, and it's grassland, and they turn it into plowed farmland, and it dried up, and it turned into a huge dust bowl, and it's hugely worse. It is a I mean, it was killing people. It was that much dust, and people were literally trying to survive day and night with literally wet cloths over their mouths because of the dust, and had to get out. It was that bad, and these were huge areas of the state. They've now dealt with a lot of it by at the edges of fields planting trees and things like that to fix the situation a bit more. Here there is plenty of water around, but it is not necessarily plenty of rain. So the distinction in that there is a lot of, and the continental divide goes, you can sort of see it here on these rivers, sort of right along like this. So there's a lot of water running down some of these major rivers. I mean, hell, the Mississippi is not, I don't think the biggest flow in the world. I think maybe the Amazon is of water out, but it is one of the top, I don't know, 4. I know the Ganges is a massive flow out of water, but it is one of the biggest flows of water, and obviously this is, a third or more, or half or more of the Mississippi out here, because it also gets a lot of water from over here. But there's a lot of water, but it's not well spread out, and it's not like on the East Coast here where you have lots of rain, or like in Britain where you have lots of rain. Britain is more of a drainage problem in most cases, meaning what to do with the overwater coming down, than it is a lack of water. Here it can be a lack of water, but we've been able to industrially pump it from deep, or pump it out from rivers to areas nearby, capture it as it flows by. But then you have, if the Democrats don't, we do have water problems in California. A lot of it is because we need a lot of water down here, but we have a fair amount of water up here. This sort of Central Valley here, probably going to be wrong, but I think that the population of the United States during like World War II, you could feed all of America out of the Central Valley. There is a lot. Now I know we are having certain water problems, and there's been certain drought situations as well recently in California, and recently as in the last 10 years or so. But those are sort of seasonal droughts, meaning seasonal as in like, and it isn't global warming, people. It's really, as they coming to figure this out, it's sort of like this is going on a bit longer than normal, but it's like it happens for like normally for like a 5 or 10 year pattern or something, and then it goes back to like a 20 or 30 years of good rain, and it's a weird sort of El Nino pattern with various conditions out here, and it's more of a regional situation here. Hi, GAYK. Good to have you here. I know you've been here for a moment. And hey, Beam Slam. So, the U.S., the terrain is so varied between California's great growing, and it's all, as you can see, this is, the Sierra Mountains here. This is the Rocky Mountains. It's sort of part of the Rocky Mountain range, if you will, but the Sierra Mountains here. If you're talking, this side is very green. Here, if you go this side of it, it is very not green, as you can sort of see desert here. That's actually Death Valley. I do have the California picture mod. Okay, El Centro. That's what this desert looks like down here. That is actually one of the pictures I added. Riverside, you can sort of see Oceanside, Coachella, where the weird thing is. Needles. Now, this really isn't this sort of Sahara Desert. Death Valley does have some, and there is some sand dunes out in some of this, but mostly I'm trying to see it. Okay, that's Vegas. I don't know if that's Boulder Dam. Prescott. No, Prescott is, I've been to Prescott. My dad lives in Prescott. Yeah, no, it's more like this. This is the California desert mostly, meaning that there's sand down here in between the bushes, but these are sagebrush and it's dry and it's desert. But may get a bit more sand duny out here, but it's more like there. Now Carson City, that's up in the mountains and that's very pine forests. But yeah, this does become a bit of a desert out here, but this becomes more mountainous and green here. So you got an agricultural fertile valley that, or not, well, this is a valley because there's mountains here, not, well, hills, tall hills, small mountains, but all along here, very little snow. I mean, you got to get up into the mountains to get snow, but this sort of coastal plain area here is a very, very green area and very, very good agricultural growing, and won't have a dust bowl here. Here it will in the Central Plains, but you get over to sort of Illinois and east of the Mississippi, you're talking lots and lots of water, and you won't have dust storms because of it. You will have now destruction of soil, as they mentioned here. You will, because part of it, because literally the soil, because of the lack of grass covering, because when you plow up things, you turn it to dust and there's no plants on it, and it dries out, it turned to dust. So the good topsoil was being blown away, literally. Out here, where you talk, it's more soil exhaustion. But America, well, yeah, I think they did some crop rotation early on in some of these parts, but America, unlike Europe, is fairly newly cultivated for proper farming. So they didn't have the soil, lack of fertilizer. They didn't have soil exhaustion going on too much in America, and just at about probably the time that would start hitting, they started importing fertilizer, guano, bird shit, from Chile, and then German developed chemical fertilizers come into play, and so we've been able to chemically fertilize to keep all of our crops without needing to do crop rotation, and keep the soil from having destruction because of too much farming on it. So yeah, and and so whatever bad with weather might happen in one area, like sometimes winter gets so bad down here that orange crops freeze and the oranges on the trees freeze because it's really bad and whatever. But it's just fine over in California, so we have oranges still. I mean, so it's varied enough that either Florida or California is producing enough oranges for America, and they'll just go up a little bit more expensive. So yeah, so we need however much, and again, I appreciate the people, the market, and I'm not against, as you can probably tell, markets, but you have national security interests. So you need enough mean, tough guys with guns to keep anybody else from taking your land away, but you also need to have enough food. Right. So enough pontificating. Okay, we'll lose dissent. Well, we don't have any dissent right now. And we'll gain popularity in organization, or no need to, we'll gain dissent. So we'll do this just as playing the game. But I don't know enough about that act. I mean, obviously it's replacing one that was bad enough that they found unconstitutional. And like I was saying earlier on, Agricultural Adjustment Act. Okay, more supplies, less consumer goods during wartime and peace. We're already at 0, so that doesn't help us so much. It doesn't hurt us, but we'll do that. Get that. Hell. Keep focusing. Well, okay. No, my note just January 38. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to move those to the bottom because we can build the aircraft later. They just sort of build the aircraft to get on the ships at the right time. We'll allow some ship production to go into effect.
We can do heavy bomber crew training. Gun ability be here. It's just you can have toaster manufacturing companies. People that make toasters go out of business. Have four toaster manufacturers all come in, start making toasters, and they all go out of business because the market could only support two toaster manufacturing companies, but they all take out loans and they all do this stuff and they all go out of business. And okay, so what? For a couple of years, there's no new toasters being made in your country, and they figure things out. But go for a few years without food is a problem. We could do damage control. And yeah. So I'm all for markets. Markets are the best way for most things most of the time. But some things need to be. Germany Treaty of Munich. Oh, they're already pushing into. Okay, January 38. Yeah, a little early. 6 months or more early, but yeah. Submarine crew berthing. Actually get beds for our submarine crew. Okay. Damage control. And so, if have it as much market as possible while still making sure that convert that over to horizontal. We are in 38. So okay, let's not go to 39 just yet. We can do battleship armor thickness. That would be good. Still more. Hello, Sebastian. Good to have you here. I didn't see you when you first showed up. Okay. Getting all the screws and rudders for carrier improvements. I don't know. If I picked the wrong carrier, open hangar versus closed hangar. I'm not sure of the terms, but just what they meant by that. Okay. Heavy cruiser. Let's do engines. Get that going. Along the Neutrality Act, yes. Cruiser crew and training. Now we can start doing 38 technologies here if we have any that we don't want. No, I guess we'll. Destroyer escort. I don't know. About Britain. We want to use our submarines aggressive, or I mean our destroyers aggressively and not just against submarines. Okay, import of zinc to Australia. Okay, zinc. How much zinc do we currently make? Okay, we're at 4. Yeah, okay, we can do that. We'll trade with Australia. And battle cruiser armor thickness is advanced. Battle cruiser. Okay, we just did battle ship. Where's battle cruiser? Okay, 35. Okay, well, we're back there. I guess we'll let that continue. And Denmark, yes, you can have energy. Okay, that looks. Oh, choose a focus. We're going to choose focus for our puppets. Choose industrial focus.
I think we're going to continue to do Army. I hope it's good for them that they continue to build their Army up. Don't need the Philippines to do Navy or anything like that. Air Force maybe, but probably just have America do that for them. And I don't need more resources. I don't think I need more industrial capability. I don't know for them, but more troops, more units would be nice. All right, well, I think we're going to end this episode here. I really do appreciate hanging out with you. Been having fun talking about American society back then. I talk so much about German society as I understand it, but this is sort of fun to talk about the good and the bad. There's segregation rampant here, in America. It's not perfect. Not saying that at all, but it's still a lot better than most places on the planet, I would say. So, even back then, and even for the Black Americans, how they would have been treated in other countries wouldn't have necessarily been any better, or would have been worse. So, especially if you were talking about a large population of them, not just 5 of them making it to Canada or something, but if you were talking a large population, because we can see. I don't know about Australia or New Zealand and the Maoris at this time, but I don't think the Aborigines of Australia would have considered their treatment very, very good back then. It might not have been as formal as segregation in America, but I would say that probably not so great. So in comparison to other places, it's not necessarily so bad. I like Ireland, except it's too little wood. Oh, Iceland, I think you mean. Yeah, Iceland. Yeah, Iceland. Yeah. Okay, thanks everyone. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron and me babbling on in the future.